Hey guys, welcome to the Scared Stiff podcast. This is episode 2. We're going to be talking about American Werewolf in London today. This is my co-host Scott Noyce. How are you doing today, buddy?
I'm all right. I'm just fucking tired. I had a long night last night.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just fucking out late with a bunch of my friends and I didn't get home till like 1 or 2 or something.
Yikes.
It was fun though. I had a good time. I don't make it sound like a good time, but I don't really want to go in details about it. How about you, dude?
I'm all right. I had a good time last night watching the movie we're going to be talking about today, and had a decent morning.
I had a cram. I had so much to do yesterday that between leaving for the party and like just the rest of the stuff I had going on earlier in the day, I had to try to make sure this fit perfectly, like right in the middle. I just had enough time. Doesn't that kind of suck when you feel like you have to like make something you want to do feel like such a necessity too?
Yeah, I mean that was kind of how it was for me when we did Evil Dead last week. I came home from work and had to just throw the movie on, and just I could not do anything else but just watch the movie, so that in literally like 20 minutes after I finished it, we could record the episode. So
that's how I felt all last week, because Sunday was Easter and I spent the rest of that day. I don't have fucking family, but like I spent most of that day just finishing the artwork like for the podcast, and then I recorded the intro for the podcast, and then Monday I hung out with our buddy Jason and we did the outro for the podcast, and I did a few tunes to do for some other projects, and then Tuesday we recorded the podcast, and then I spent Wednesday and Thursday and Friday editing it. And as soon as I finished that, I was like, oh my god, I got it finished. I gotta have it. I just enough time to release it. This is awesome. I felt so fucking numb. I was like, I worked so hard and I got nothing to do. And I just sat there and I started drawing, and I was like, great, I'm doing more things. And now, yeah. And then when this came around, it's like, okay, cool. We gotta do another episode. It's like, don't I fucking work enough? Like, it doesn't even count my actual work hours. Like, what the fuck? But nah, it's funny too, because like when you get to it, it's like, okay, here we go, and then you watch, you're like, oh fuck, this is actually fun. This is actually a good thing. Like,
yeah, and it's like it's kind of cool. The first 2 episodes here, we picked 2 movies that we both love.
Yeah, I think
in different perspectives.
It's pretty funny, because like when some franchises or some films, we have like very not differing opinions. I don't think our opinions differ very much, but we like different things about the films. But these are 2 that we're both like very, very high on. Because I remember when I was showing this to you for the first time, like years ago, I'm like, yeah, this is like one of my favorites, like ever. Ever.
Yeah, it's like one thing I wanted to do, we talked about this before, is I really wanted to make a point to get your perspective from, because you watched this movie way before me, and you've been a fan of this movie for a long time, so I'd like to hear your history with this movie.
I can't remember the first time I watched it, to be completely honest. I know when I first heard about it was that I was watching Cinemassacre's reviews on films, and people love him for like the angry video game nerd and everything, but by far my favorite thing he does is talking about his horror movies and like Monster Madness and everything.
I agree.
And he mentioned that, and I'm like, those effects are really cool. And the thing that got me into horror as like an artist was always like the designs, the way people figure out the animatronics and the makeup that's going to go on, and they pick the perfect lighting so it just doesn't look cheap and it fits.
Yeah.
And I saw some of the makeup from it, and I'm like, that's pretty cool. I'm not like a werewolf guy. I'm way more of a vampire guy, but I think I want to like check this out. And you give me an 80s soundtrack. You give me an awesome fucking set of shots from London and a bunch of areas from like Northern England. You give me an actor who has charisma, but is also like pretty tamed, ironically, for like emoting.
Yeah.
And in the woman who's the nurse is so good.
Jenny
like,
Agutter. Yeah,
she's Jenny Agutter is so good. And you think like, how the fuck do you get her in this? Like she's like knocking out of the park with some of this.
You'd be surprised. She's actually the stepmom in Child's Play 2. So
yeah, it's just so weird, because like you see so many shots of people crying and it's like, oh yeah, whatever. Hers is like, that feels so genuine.
Yeah, she's a great actress.
Getting into this film was just awesome. Everything around the board is just things that like just attract me to the film and make me want to watch it. I love a good horror comedy because, there's a certain aspect of like, you have to be reflective on the fact that some things are stupid, acknowledge it, have fun, and then still scare the shit out of some people.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about 80s horror in general. Is just that aesthetic, that mood, and this film encapsulates it. And that's why I was so excited to finally watch it. And when I watched it, I'm like, fuck, it's one of my favorites. This is so fantastic. Everything about it, it's like, oh, that's great. That's good. That's funny. And then, oh, cool. Everything just ticks all my fucking boxes.
Yeah, I agree with pretty much everything that you said. When you showed me this movie, I mean, like, I wanted to watch it, obviously, because I really do like werewolf related things. When you put this on for me, I wasn't expecting to laugh because I didn't really know much about the movie. My God, can you tell that this is directed by the guy who did Animal House? Everything about it, like the coolest thing I think I discerned from this movie was it's a horror comedy. So you get your scary bits, you get your tense suspense sequences, you get really funny dialogue, especially between Dave and Jack.
Yeah,
and you also get these really crazy lucid nightmare sequences that are so cool and off the wall. It really sets up this very unique tone and sensibility to it that I think really only John Landis could have brought to this. And like you said, like the acting is all really great, like from everybody. Like just everybody is fantastic, especially David Naughton. Obviously, he carries this film, and yeah, he doesn't always like when he's emotional, he's not like very clearly going for the emotive, the moments you expect from dramatic sequences. It's all about his delivery. Like the scene in the phone booth is a great scene. The scene where he's yelling at the cop trying to get arrested, which is also funny but also really sad. All of it is just he's really good, and he's an actor. Like it's the only movie I've ever seen him in.
Yeah, he doesn't really have a big pompous like career or anything, and it sucks because like when I say like his emotions are more like relaxed or laid back, it's not saying he doesn't emote, but like a lot of times when you get roles that are super like, oh yeah, your friend is dead, oh my God, and he doesn't do that. He doesn't lash out. He's like very much like torn inside, and it's like I feel like it's more realistic when you get stuff like that. He doesn't know how to emote. He's still in a state of shock.
Yeah,
and
I
you
agree.
feel like that a lot of the times in the film. The only time he lashes out or goes crazy is during the transformation scenes, which lends itself to really showcasing how much pain he's in, because the rest of the film, he doesn't act like that. So they have a great dichotomy of when he's a human, he really does emote subtly, charming, charismatic, but not outgoing. But when he turns into the wolf, everything just boom, pops. He just is like an outroar. And I think that's what's really great about showcasing this in a werewolf film, because they really do capture his transformations, especially after the first one. He starts acting subtly different. They have like he gets a little more like promiscuous with the nurse and stuff, and starts like really getting onto her and stuff. It's like, yeah, he becomes a wolf in every sense of the way. Like I think this film is just gets me so happy. Like I forget what when you like you love a film and you're like, yeah, it's so great. Everything about it is so fun. You think of all the technical aspects that ring out in your head. You're like, oh yeah, but you don't remember exactly what makes it feel so special.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I know I love it, but it's been a while. That's this film for me, because every time I think about it, I'm like, oh, I know I love this film, but I can't remember exactly why I love it off the top of my head. Besides, the makeup's great, the special effects are great, but everybody knows that. Who's gonna not know that Rick Baker did the makeup and animatronics for the wolf? Everybody knows that. Everyone knows that's amazing. It's got a goddamn award for it from the Oscars. Yeah. But besides that, there's so much nice, subtle like hints about things that could happen to him. How you see how he's like his like brain is devolving and changing. Everything feels slow, and it doesn't feel like a horror movie. And that's the way I think it meant to be, and why I like it. You don't see any real action in the film besides, the initial wolf attack until much later, much farther than halfway into the film. I always forget because the movie's only like an hour and 37 minutes.
Yeah, it's a short movie.
The whole last act, it's probably like 20 minutes. And that's the only real action in the film.
Yeah, all of it's very deliberately edited in a manner in which that it feels because it's not like he doesn't change into a because the first werewolf transformation is like midway point, I think, of the movie. Or a little bit past.
I think it's a little bit past.
Honestly. Yeah. But he changes into the werewolf, and he has his first He kills people for the first time. The way that they film the attacks, they shroud it deliberately.
Until the last one.
The last, yeah, they don't want to, yeah, they want to basically build up to that reveal of the wolf. And by the way, one of the most horrifying looking werewolves I've seen in a movie. Terrifying. If I saw that thing in a dark alley, I would shit my pants. That thing is terrifying. Yeah, like they show also incredibly gory. Like the kills they're vicious. But yeah, like they deliberately keep it in shadows, not only to I'm sure there's a limitation to the makeup as far as movement's concerned, because they don't really they only show it a little bit at the end, and they only show parts of it, just because I'm sure it's a bit awkward, but it really works the way that Landis shot it, because they maximize the animalistic quality of the werewolf more so than like in most werewolf movies where you see like a, you know, he's on two legs and it's a bit more human or humanoid. This is a lot more like a dog or a wolf. It's very terrifying, and I love it.
The best thing about shrouding is that you decide how vicious it looks until you actually see it. More so, no, like you will see it later on in the film. So like, okay, that's what it looks like. Cool. But you will always decide how it moves, because you never see that on screen. You never see it jump. You never see it leap. You never see it follow people. The only time I think that does hurt the film a little bit is there's the time when he's following the guy in the train station, and the way he follows him based on the distance from the camera to the actor running away, you know it's close. And then the next scene comes and the guy runs way far, and it's like there's a lot of distance out of nowhere. It's like the way it's edited makes it seem like I really know there's nothing there, and that's a problem. I think maybe they should have cut some things a little bit, or reshot the scene where he runs really fast or something. I don't know, but there's a time where like it does mess with suspension of disbelief, and you know he's not actually running from anything. I think that does bug me a little bit, but it's a really small hiccup, I think, in the film.
Yeah, and
there's not many hiccups in my perspective. Like that's one of the
only
small
one
ones.
to me.
I do think but the masks that the Nazi werewolf soldiers, they do look cheap sometimes.
I think they look awesome, and I also think that
they just look like latex masks at some points, though.
To me, from the perspective, like it's just I can in my mind equate that to it just being a dream, and how like a lot of the things that you see in dreams seem unnatural and weird and things you can't explain. So I can mentally put that away more so than the thing that you brought up before with the distance
100%.
Camera.
Yeah,
I get that though. I understand what you're saying.
I think that's definitely more of a nitpick. It's just when you see all the other stuff in the dream sequences, like my favorite one of the dream sequences, it's like, oh yeah, the nurse is over him and he's in a hospital bed in the middle of like the forest, and he has that big flash of the face makeup and everything with the contacts in. It's like that looks fantastic. And then when
iconic shot.
It is iconic. It's my favorite shot, I'd say, in the movie.
It's scary. Maybe jump. I'm not gonna lie.
And then you see that, and you compare it to the masks on the soldiers. It's like, okay, that's kind of a bummer. Like, I get it. It never bothered me until this viewing. I was like, oh, it looks a little iffy. But
you're also watching, because I know when we watched it the first time together. My first time, we watched it on a DVD.
Yeah.
This time we were watching it on the Arrow release, which I believe is a 4K master. So everything is higher detail, higher resolution, so everything looks different. Yeah, fantastic release. Oh my god, if anybody listening here has not picked up it's a little tough to get now, but the American Werewolf in London,
get fucked, losers.
Yeah. if you you can, I think you can get the standard, like just the normal case. You can't get the special edition anymore. Yeah.
So yeah, you can get that, guys, but what you can't get this fun shit.
The
so
booklet.
Like, I own this because I wasn't a fucking idiot. So I'm just saying.
Yeah, I remember we were in Disney and that was announced, and I had to send that to you instantly.
Oh yeah, that was a long time ago.
Yeah, we were in a van on our way to.
Did you see the cards
Epcot
inside? Because I didn't really look at these too much until when I pulled it out to watch. I was like, oh shit.
The only thing about the box set that I found kind of funny was that the booklet, they use the art that they have, like those Walmart exclusive, like glow in the dark.
Yeah.
Releases. It's so weird that that's what they chose. About. It's so weird that that's what they chose. If you guys have not picked up that release, please pick up that release. Arrow makes some of the greatest physical media releases ever, and it is stacked with special features. There's a making of documentary called Beware the Moon. It's like 90 minutes, and it just like there's so much. There's a wealth of special features. Definitely check that out.
Imagine having special features on a fucking home release. It's crazy,
Yeah.
isn't it?
It's like a companion piece to our last episode. I'm not always like big on Arrow. Like Arrow's art is usually pretty good. It's just that they give you the option to reverse the sleeve, and I never use theirs on the interior.
I
this case
I reversed it.
But back to talking about the reason why. Like I think that us watching this on the newest release, the Arrow version, I believe it's a 4K scan. So the upscale and detail makes everything, like all the effects are gonna get judged a little bit harsher based off that because it's so much clearer. But that to me makes it even more amazing how good the werewolf transformation looks, because even with that up res and detail, the effects are incredible.
Oh yeah, I mean, I thought it was fantastic. I think some of the scarring on his face looks a little bit more fake now with that detail. But besides that, it's like if the only things you could complain about from a movie that was made
tiny little things
in 1980, 81 was just a face scar and masks on Nazi werewolves that show up in a minute. Like, I don't think that's much of a gripe to have.
I agree. Also, can we talk about the year 1981 for fucking horror movies? Because like, I mean, even looking behind you, I was wrong last episode. The movie came out in 1981. Evil Dead came out in 1981. This came out in 1981. There's an enormous amount of
slasher. Didn't The Howling come out the same year too?
I think so. That or 82, I think. But there's just a boom of awesome horror movies. There's a huge slasher boom that had some great ones.
Didn't like Halloween 2 come out 81 too?
Halloween 2 came out 81. The Burning came out 81. Friday the 13th Part 2, I believe, came out in 81. The Prowler came out in 81. There was a lot of them. There were so many awesome horror movies that come out in 81. So that's just such a cool year that all these awesome movies come out.
Howling, Scanners.
Yep. So that's just crazy. 81 was just full of awesome shit for horror fans.
My Bloody Valentine.
Oh, how did I forget about that one? That one's awesome. I love that movie.
Oh, and my favorite, Madman.
Oh Christ. I don't understand. Sorry 80s fans. I don't fucking understand why anybody enjoys that movie.
The song.
That's got to be it.
I purely believe it's the song.
What year
I
did
think the artwork too looks really good.
What year did Sleepaway Camp come out in? This is a huge tangent. I'm just curious if that was another 81. I don't think it's 81.
It's not.
I think it's like 85 or something.
Sleepaway Camp came out in 1983.
Oh, okay. That's not that bad.
Yeah, I think it's weird how a lot of films, because they're so built around their decades, some things like early 90s and late 90s feel polarizingly different. Even
it's
like
weird.
Yeah, but I feel like it's so weird how the 80s, like as soon as it hits 1980, I do associate things from the 80s with even that year.
Oh,
even to 89, it's like one of my favorite albums for Motley Crue is obviously Dr. Feelgood, and that came out in 1989, and it's like that's super 80s to me, but it's the last year.
Yeah,
like the 80s every single year just encapsulates the decade. I think that's pretty unique because most decades don't kind of have that.
I think for the 80s, I think it's interesting to watch the progression, especially with films. I mean, this ties directly into this movie and how like graphic this movie could be. With some of the kills, some of the makeup effects. I mean, Jack is fucking, he's a mess for the entire movie after the openings act. Like he's just grotesque in all three different versions of him. But like it's kind of funny watching from the beginning of the 80s to the end of the 80s how the MPAA just eviscerated horror movies.
100%.
It's crazy that we went from stuff like this to the way that they edited the shit out of like Friday the 13th Part 7.
Yeah, I like Part 7 a lot too.
I do
know
too.
People don't like it, but
I do too. But like, it sucks that like you were talking about this with the guy at the comic store the other day. Just like how they eviscerated all the kills out of that movie. Same thing with like Part 5. Even by 85,
it's so fucking funny because it's so polarizing now. It's like you could do anything you want with like fucking killings in movies nowadays, but there's no story behind a lot of horror films, and it's just like, look at all this bloodshed. I'm like, I don't fucking care, man. I just don't care.
I find that amazing that like not that long after, I mean, it's like 20 years, but like after like something like Part 7 of Friday the 13th, you get movies like Saw, and that's okay. I mean, actually,
Well,
Saw's
you
not that
like the
bad.
first Saw a
I do like
lot.
the first Saw.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not even saying that to disparage the film. And even then, though, like Saw 1 is not that graphic
No.
in comparison to its later entries. But you just like watching that franchise evolve into this, just like just so much gore and blood and violence, and like we can have that now, but we couldn't have that in the '80s. Like I get that, like things were different back then, and people had different perspectives. But it's just like it's amazing that like we went from, oh, you can't do that, to doing way worse than those movies ever were gonna do.
I think a lot of
Weird.
things kind of weird how they let a lot of things fly too in the 70s too. But
Oh
like
my
when the
god.
80s hits, like as soon as it gets like to a halfway point, they start to really crack down.
Well, it's like the stuff that you see in the '80s that became mainstream was kind of similar to a lot of the stuff people were watching in the '60s and '70s,
Yeah.
especially the '70s in grindhouse theaters.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny how that evolved into mainstream, and then the MPA was like, "Nah, we're gonna
It's
completely
funny
kill
how
you."
this is rated R, and there's a lot of things that would usually just increase a rating heavily, like there's the violence.
There's some graphic
But yeah,
nudity.
dude, fucking David Nolan's rocking cock in like 5 frames. It's like
He's just running around and he's fucking hiding in a bush, and there's a fucking kid with a balloon, and he's
that's
just
my
like,
favorite scene. No, I don't.
it's
I don't
so
care. This is
fucking funny.
like that's my favorite scene in the movie because it's so funny. He goes, "Hey kid,
It's just
come over here." He walks over. What do you want? He's like, I'm a famous balloon thief, and then he takes the balloons and runs away. And kid goes to his mom's like, "Mom, an American man just stole my balloons."
a naked American man just stole my fucking balloons. I'm sitting there watching this.
I love that kid's delivery. If that kid's delivery wasn't so good, it wouldn't be that funny. But.
I haven't seen that movie in years before watching it today, which is a sin. I wanted to watch it last year during October, and I just never got to. Also, funnily enough, this movie does not play on my Samsung 4K player for some reason. I had to watch it on my PlayStation. I don't know why. Which is probably why I didn't watch it last year. It's probably because I got really mad. I hadn't seen this movie in so long that I forgot about that scene. I totally forgot about that. And watching that now, not as a teenager, I was just there like, oh my god, I don't like saying this a lot, but I don't know if you could do that scene again today.
I think
It
you
is.
can. I think especially for comedies.
I just think it parallels too much with pedophilia, and I get that's the joke.
Yeah.
But it's just like I don't know how well that would be accepted, because in the '80s, like now this is regarded as a classic, so like some of the stuff is like we're not gonna talk about that.
Yeah, and I don't think there's a whole lot of that except for the stuff when he's like trying to get arrested, where he's saying some fucking shit, where it's like, yeah, maybe don't say a homophobic slur and scream it at the top of your lungs.
See, I was watching that scene and I was like, did he say that? Because I couldn't tell. I couldn't exactly tell what he said.
That.
I'm like, ooh boy, yikes.
Yeah, that's like the only thing I'm like, yeah, I really.
I guess that's the point. Like he's trying to get arrested, so he's just doing the worst things he possibly can.
Oh yeah,
but
I get it.
It's still fucked.
You know, I'll say this though: if you really want to get arrested, just punch the cop. You know, I don't think you need to call someone a homophobic slur. You could be like, "Hey, I want to get arrested. I should assault a police officer." That will do it. I don't think there's going to be any questions asked.
But also, I'll say this though: he could have done that, but I think the point was he was supposed to get a night in jail to cover himself up for the full moon, rather than be put in prison for a while.
Push him. I don't care.
Yeah, no, I that's a little messed up. But I'll say, like, as much as I think that scene with the kid is like, that's kind of yikes. That shit had me like just in stitches. It's more so, it's not even just that scene though, it's the scene immediately after it when he's running with the balloons covering his junk and he grabs the lady's coat off the fucking bench in a wide shot. That's when I'm watching, I'm like, oh, this is definitely a John Landis movie, because it feels like something out of Animal House. That shit's really fucking funny. It just exemplifies this movie. It is a horror movie and it is scary. Like even in like it's not the opening, but when they get mauled by the wolf on the moors, that scene is fucking terrifying, especially because Landis is so smart. And I'm sure it has nothing to do with maybe it has nothing to do with Landis. It has more to do with limitations, but he never shows the wolf in that entire sequence. It's just the sound design.
He only shows the wolf at the very end of mauling the person on the escalator.
And it's up until then, you don't see you only see quick flashes of the wolf. But even in that opening, in that first attack, you don't see the wolf, period.
No, you only see like his head bite Jack.
Yeah, that's it.
Second.
That's just really good filmmaking. because it's more terrifying. When he's sitting there, he's saying it's right in front of us, and all stuff. It's like it is way more terrifying for us to have to imagine what
100%.
that looks like. And like still, like it's also one of the only movies I've ever seen where I'm imagining what this thing looks like. And even with me imagining it, when they finally show it, it's still scary. Like that wolf design, I cannot stress enough how awesome it looks and how terrifying it is. It's just
I totally agree.
So feral and I mean, like it really leans into the animalistic qualities of what werewolves can be, more so than like Wolfman with Lon Chaney Jr. and stuff like that. Like,
yeah, bringing up Lon Chaney Jr. and the Wolfman's why I love the film so much is because there's a lot of humor in it, and like the humor in this film is why I don't like humor in a lot of modern horror films, is because the humor nowadays are very meta textual and it's fucking stupid. Like, yeah, dude, I know I'm watching a fucking horror movie. Oh, well, we know in a horror movie this is going to happen. So don't walk out of the room. Ha ha ha. It's like, yeah, she walks out of the room, she fucking dies. Okay, cool. Yeah, I get it. Metatextual. Ha ha. You want a pat in the back? Cool. Yeah, I'll give you a fucking hand job in the corner. I don't care. Like, I hate that shit. It's so fucking stupid to me.
The only movie that works in is Scream for me.
See, I don't even work in Scream sometimes. Sometimes it does, and I think it's pretty decent. Like, Randy is a fucking idiot in the first Scream. And it's like, oh yeah, he makes it seem like everything is super real in these horror films because he watches it all the time. He's a stupid fanboy. So when he does stuff like that, the metatextual stuff works because he's just too drawn into that realm.
Yeah.
But people make fun of him for it in the movie, never say I'll be right back, blah blah blah. And then Matthew Lillard goes, I'll be right back. And
it also works for that movie.
Joke.
It also works for that movie because he's one of the fucking killers.
But like that's still a perfect joke, though. Like
that's kind of the thing, though, with Scream, though, is that for me, at least the first one specifically, and the second one, they make jokes. There's a lot of jokes. There's a lot of meta stuff. They still try to scare the shit out of you, though, and they do set up really good suspense sequences to balance out that humor. Some movies don't do that, though.
Yeah,
some movies just lean into meta and they think that's what makes a good slasher movie.
You can lean into meta. This movie references the Wolfman. It talks about lore twice.
Oh yeah.
They talk about it in the beginning at the slaughtered lamb, and then he talks about it with Alex at her flat. It's like they're acknowledging stuff like that. You know, David makes a joke when they're in the porn theater about like, oh, do I need a silver bullet? And it's like, come on, dude, get fucking real. This isn't a movie. Yeah, I like that shit. Like some of the meta humor, some of the humor isn't meta humor. Some of the humor is just funny. And then there's some meta stuff that's metatextual, but it isn't humor. I like things like that. You can reference the meta and be like, oh yeah, I've watched The Wolfman. I expect this with the werewolves. And then you can have humor. They don't have to be together. Sometimes that shit is stupid. If you have to make a movie, it's like, cool, I got a black guy in the movie. I'm going to make him have a metatextual joke about how he's going to be the first one to die. And then he fucking dies. That's not fucking funny. You're fucking stupid. No one cares.
Yes,
it's not 2002. No one wants to be like, oh, they go kill the black guy. Oh, but they made a joke about it. Wow, you made fun of a black man. That's sick. High five. Woo! Like, no one fucking wants that.
No, you're just racist.
Yeah, it's like, that shit's so stupid. That shit's so dumb.
Yeah, I agree.
You can make some metatextual stuff or whatever, have some humor, mix it a little bit. But when you have meta humor be throughout the entirety of a film, why do you think Resurrection sucks so bad? Half the shit is metatextual and it's fucking dumb. No one wants that. You have the film saying like, yeah, we acknowledge horror films exist, and so do you. We're cool, right? No, you're a fucking boomer. You're not cool. Like, shut up.
And it's a trend chaser movie too. It's just like, oh man, what's cool now? Oh, fucking reality television shows. Let's make a fucking Halloween movie with fucking reality television shows that are super. Oh, the joke is it's super scripted. Oh, like they all are. Jesus Christ, you guys are really fucking clever.
Put a fucking bullet in my brain. Make it silver and finish the fucking job. I hate that movie.
Speaking of comedy in this movie, the porn theater scene. Holy shit.
Super funny. That's super dark humor too, because
it's super
going
dark.
over like ways of how to kill himself.
The best ways to do it.
I love though. See, I like because
the couple.
It's still
the
good
couple's
character
the best.
shit too. Because like even Jack is being like, "Oh, you gotta kill yourself," and the guy's like, "Oh, Jack here's your good buddy. You left my fucking kids like fatherless. You left my wife a widow. I want you to fucking die." And all the bums are saying, just fucking kill yourself.
You aren't my friend.
And then Jack just goes, "Hey, this happens to be a good buddy of mine." And it's super funny because he only has teeth, and he's like, I should go out of your mind. But he's still being a good friend. It's like, yeah, listen to Skeletor Boy over here.
I think it's really funny because they're introducing all the people he killed. They all just show up in the theater. And obviously, yeah, like the businessman, he's like, yeah, you left my like. It's kind of funny. It goes back and forth in tone because it's like you actually left my family, without a father and a husband. You piece of shit, kill yourself. Like it's really bad. It's actually dramatic to a good degree. And then they cut to the fucking couple. The couple's my favorite.
But the thing about that, it's like when I used to watch the film, I just think that guy's kind of just like being an asshole. And it's like,
no, we killed
you. But you think about it, no, not even just like he killed him or whatever. It's like, yeah, you'd be an asshole if somebody kills you, but it's like he's really not even being that ruthless. He even says, like, I'm not a friend of yours. He's still not even being just a dick, being like, I hate you. You took this from me, blah, blah, blah. He's saying, you did this for me. You took this from me. You need to die so I can at least get some eternal sleep or whatever.
Yeah.
And he's being
justifiable.
He's just blunt. And I thought that's pretty good. Even like when the bums are just being disruptive, like, yeah, fucking hang yourself, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, hey, let's get to the point. We need him to die. We're losing time here.
Yeah. And I love the couple, the way that they're so jovial about it. They're like, yeah, just kill yourself, put a gun in your mouth.
I like the fact that they're happy, don't miss. Because I like to think because they're with each other, they're like, I mean, yeah, if we're kind of stuck, if we're stuck for a bit, like we're not so bad. They're fucked, like they got it bad, but
yeah. And like the bums that are like, he's like, you can hang yourself. And then Jack's like, no, you could fuck it up and you could suffocate. It'd be a painful death. He's like, even though he's telling his buddy to kill himself, he's like, oh, I don't want it to hurt.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I love when he goes like, yeah, this is a good buddy of mine. Calm down. It's like,
and the bums are like, he ain't no friend of mine.
Yeah.
Oh my God. That seems fucked, but that's kind of the thing this movie really balances. It's like a lot of it, some of it's like just funny humor, like the stuff with some of the interactions he has with Alex, or the stuff with him with Jack before Jack dies. Some of it's like legitimately just funny. Hell, even right before they get mauled, it's funny. Again, like this is one of those weird movies. I feel like it just shouldn't work because of how like the tone can shift. The tone should not work. It just I feel like the tone just shifts like crazy at times. It just should not work. It should have like just whiplash for the audience. But the way that Landis balances it and the way that he directs it, it works somehow, some way. It's just one of those movies that just works on the benefit of just talent, pure talent from everybody involved. It's a crazy movie. It's an anomaly within its genre.
Well, I think in general, like a lot of 80s horror really does have mixed tones in general, and it works so well because they aren't playing to one strength. They're playing to multiple, but they're keeping them having strengths in certain scenes, but making sure the other one still is there or in the background. Yeah. I like films that have multiple tones. I like films that can feel like you don't have to be fucking there just depressed the entire time or just horrified the entire time, because I love horror movies because they're scary, but like that's not the only reason I like them. Most horror fans will say, yeah, I like being scared, but at the same time, like I like feeling like there's suspense, there's drama, the characters are intriguing, the designs are really wicked, and there's so much that brings me to it.
Yeah.
You get the whole thing about a horror film is you're getting a mixed bag. And I don't mean a mixed bag as in like good stuff and bad stuff, but like you have so many different things to choose from that can draw you into this movie. That's why even some people will say, I watched this piece of shit horror movie the other day called Demon Wind, and I still had fun with it because there's some wild fucking shit that you wouldn't get out of any other type of movie. That's what horror films are so great.
Yeah, I agree. And also just like you were saying, this decade, my favorite decade for horror movies is probably the 70s. But I think that the 80s for a lot of people would be considered a golden age. I mean, like technically, if you want to actually go by the way that you actually deem ages, the golden ages, the 30s and 40s. No, yeah.
It's pretty much just the 30s, but yeah.
But I think that as far as just a resurrection for the genre, I mean, like it's not like the genre ever went away, but just like 80s horror was just a different kind of a different ilk. It's amazing. And there's been horror comedies before. It's not like this is some kind of trailblazer that created the subgenre.
I think it's a trailblazer for its type of horror comedy, though.
Yeah,
because a lot of horror films from that point on would take a lot of
dark
ideas
comedy.
And not just the dark comedy, but like the way characters interact or kind of goof it up a bit, especially in stuff like Fright Night.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
I don't think Fright Night would have its same kind of tonal balance that it would have without American Werewolf in London.
that's a fucking good horror comedy. That movie's awesome. Another movie is like it balances like some creepy ass shit, great effects.
Fright Night's another perfect example about metatextual humor, where it's like they talk about the meta about stuff a lot, and they will make jokes about it, but like it's not the entire fucking joke of the movie.
Yeah,
Like the joke, who's the joke at the expense of? It's at the expense of the viewer for some films, where it's like, oh yeah, you expect this and this, ha ha ha. It's like, I don't want to be the joke of this entire movie, dude. Like, why am I being made fun of for liking this genre? Like,
yeah, I
this
agree.
is stupid. Like, if you want to make jokes reference about like, yeah, I know everything about it, it's like, yeah, that is funny. In Fright Night, the guy knows everything about horror films. It's like, yeah, I know that stuff too, and that's kind of cool. But in the end, he survives and he knows how to get his way out of things because he does know that meta. You feel rewarded because you're watching this film and you're like, yeah, I can get myself out of this because I know these situations as well. Or I would try to also do something like that. Fright Night is the perfect example of how meta can not harm a film, but help a film.
I agree.
And like I said, there's so many things that get brought up in Fright Night that I think wouldn't have been possible to bring up in a lot of films, especially in the 80s, without this film. I don't think many films really reference the meta as much, especially directly linking films. Like I know American Wolf in London quotes stuff from Lon Chaney's Wolfman a few times. You might have a few vampire movies where they talk about like, oh yeah, stakes and all that garbage, but he's referencing a movie point blank and he's naming the movie. They do that in Fright Night as well. And I don't know many horror comedies that would do that if this movie didn't exist.
Yeah, I agree. I also think like I don't know if this specifically. I mean it's just the decade, but this is one of the earlier examples of the 80s where like a soundtrack really makes them. It doesn't make the movie. It doesn't make
it enhances it.
It really enhances
heavily.
it.
Yeah.
And like yeah, a lot of the songs are on the nose. Like it's like oh they're playing Bad Moon Rise or Bad Moon Rising
I'll
or
see a bad moon horizon.
Like when that song comes on, I'm happy. I love that song. But like that, like they do they do Werewolf in London. Werewolf of London? No, they don't.
They don't.
Moon Dance is the one I'm thinking of. Moon Dance is the one I'm thinking of. Like Moon Dance, Blue Moon. But like Moon Dance is the one because that's the one that they do when Alex and Dave are getting acquainted.
Yeah.
With each other. A lot of it is on the nose, but it really works for the movie that they're in. Like it's the perfect music for this.
I think it fits very much the tone of that scene too perfectly, though.
Yeah, it's all about the sexual
and like
tension and romance.
Bad Moon Rising happens during a montage of him just being bored at the flat before
the moon hits. So it's perfect. That's a perfect fit.
Yeah, 100%. Like the tone fits so well because it does have a sudden clash. When I was making the outro for the podcast, when Jason was going through some stuff and he was talking about like trying to make like fucking 30-second to like minute long songs. I'm like, we only need like a few seconds, man. Let's do it together. But he's doing this one part. I'm like, hey, this sounds great. And he's like, but you're going too much with this. Like, yeah, but I like things to start out calm and then out of nowhere you have like a misplaced note because it's a huge sudden clash and that automatically scares the listener. I'm like, I agree. And that's a perfect example of horror films right now is what you're talking about. I still only need fucking 10 seconds, bro.
Yeah.
But that's exactly how it should be. A sudden clash will not only just get the viewer confused and automatically lower their defenses, but it also makes you think, oh shit, if you could do that right now, like what else could happen?
Yeah, I agree. That's a really good transition too for the movie where it's in the middle of Bad Moon Rising and he just starts to have a really bad day.
Yeah, it's also the first time like this is when the movie becomes a horror film, really.
Yeah,
because the lucid dreams aren't lucid dreams anymore. They're real. And what this also brings up is something that you were talking to me about when you're watching the film is that like how real is it supposed to be? And I get where you're coming from 100% because I think Landis wanted this reaction for most of it.
I also get where you're coming from though.
I think at the end he would like to say, yeah, it's open-ended, but it's like you've put so much to make it not open-ended. But
Yeah.
Give your perspective.
So the whole movie from once the werewolf attack happens.
I'd say even as soon as they go on the slaughtered lamb, because that's when they get the ideas.
Well, yeah, because they're all the whole town. I can't remember. I don't know why I forgot the name of the town already. But up in northern England, when they're walking through the moors, they come across this place, the slaughtered lamb, and this entire town is convinced that werewolves exist and that they stalk the moors. So, like you said, they implant this idea within Jack and David's head as they're about to go walk out from the place, and they get attacked. You don't see the attacker for the most part. You could make the argument that in their head they're hearing the growls and the howls because they're thinking to themselves, "Well, these people are saying that there's fucking werewolves around here, and to stay off the road and all that stuff. Beware the moon, blah 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 blah, all that stuff." So you can make the assumption that possibly maybe a crazed man really did attack them, but it's in their head now that there's an animal, so they're under the impression that they're being stalked by a wolf and they're attacked. And David's impression is that Jack is murdered by a wolf and he is now going to be a werewolf. So as the movie is going on, he's having these psychological breaks where he is talking to his dead friend later on in the film, where he because he knows that obviously with the full moon he is going to turn into a werewolf. The implication until the third act is that it could very possibly be that he is going into a psychotic state and murdering people as himself, not as a wolf. And I think that's a genius idea. And honestly, I do agree with you that in the third act, they kind of tipped their hand a little too much. I wish they didn't tip their hand too much. I still think that you could look at it from the perspective that this is just what people are visualizing from these horrific acts that David could be committing. It is a little bit tough though when you're seeing this wolf walking through the street. Again, you can still a lot of the stuff that's happening because they say it's a beast, but that also like a mad dog, but that also can be something that could be applied to someone that is just out of their mind attacking people. So you could make the argument that he is not actually a wolf and that he's just deranged. And I think that the only thing in the real finale that kind of reinforces that is just the way that Alex doesn't react in any way to seeing him as a werewolf, because the whole time she's just like, he's not a werewolf. She's on the doctor's side, that he's just like, he's confused and in a manic state because of his trauma and PTSD from the attack. She doesn't react in any way saying, oh my God, wow, he really is a werewolf. Like her face doesn't give you that evidence. Nothing she says gives you that evidence. So you could, from a certain perspective, see that maybe it really is that he's just deranged. And they make a point to show that like he turns back into a human at the end.
That's the most important thing,
when he's dead.
That's the most important thing to help your argument. Before I counter it, the most important thing to help your argument is that not only does he turn into himself after he gets shot dead, but at the same time, when Jack and him get assaulted by a wolf, he sees the man before, he goes fucking unconscious. And he never mentions that after he gets into the hospital. He always says, it's a wolf, it's a wolf, it's a wolf. He never once mentions that, like, at the end, before he got knocked out, he saw the man.
Yes.
That is the only real thing that's like, it does benefit. But I'll say this much. The way the film plays out in the beginning, it wants you to believe it could be a psychotic. I think there is way too much stuff on the doctor's end of doing his own discovery that leads it to being like, why would they hide these things? Why would the file go missing? Because these aren't things David knows. These are only things that the doctor and Alex knows. Why would they be hiding this stuff? They never saw Jack's body or whatever, it being mangled or stuff. And okay, but he does go, they have the whole wolf suspicion. It doesn't change his perspective entirely, but it's like, why are there things that aren't going well? And especially in the beginning, when they go in the slaughtered lamb, David isn't the one who really believes in the wolf. It's Jack. Jack talks about what's with the pentagram, what's with that. David always says, it's who fucking cares? Like, why do you even bother? If Jack was the survivor, I would definitely lend more credence, because it's like, he already had that suspicion in there. He's talking about the wolf man from the get-go. Yeah. And the last act happens. He breaks out of a fucking steel door that they bring down from the porn theater, and there's two guards holding it. Yeah. I know a man can have severe fucking strength or whatever when they're psychotic. That's not possible. Like that's not.
Yeah.
And then when Alex is talking to him, there's a whole armed squadron. If it was a madman in the corner, I don't think they'd have that many heavily armed people positioned to gun it down. But a rabid dog, I believe they would.
Yeah.
Those are the only thing that I think really outweigh the credence of it being open-ended because they position so many things. There's a scene where he walks into the middle of the trolley and they turn, the whole car crash happens. I can believe a man would do that and they would turn the trolley, maybe even more so than a dog, but still.
All of that, I believe.
But still, a lot of the other things that lead to it, I just feel it's too heavily implied that it has to be. Also, the way that they describe how people die when they're in the taxi, about like brutal murders that are like with like claw marks and everything. It's like that's the first time they notice that they ever mention anything about like the way the murders are done. Because even when he was murdered, it wasn't mentioned. It was just like, oh, he got attacked.
Well, pretty much the way that the taxi driver is kind of implies that is that the savagery of the attack can only be done by an animal.
Yeah.
But again, like that still plays into the idea that like the pure savagery of the attack is what makes people think it's a monster. Now, I can't argue about the steel door. That's to me is more so like I feel like there has to be a suspension of disbelief on Landis's part. Where if this is his perspective, I have no idea if it's his perspective or not. If that's his perspective, he just that was an embellishment for the film, and it is ridiculous. I can't argue against that.
Yeah.
I'll say this: the stuff with the slaughtered lamb with the pentagram and stuff, and how David's just like he's like whatever, it doesn't matter. Seeing is believing from his perspective, and especially on the moors, the way you get spooked, you see things when you're afraid that may not actually be there, and that made him a believer at that point. And a traumatic incident like that could bring that about on someone. I believe that part. I can argue that point. The steel door is the problem. I can even get behind excessive force with the squadron of people with the rifles. I can kind of get behind that, but the steel door is my big thing. Him busting through a steel door, I don't know how you get around that.
I would definitely believe that Landis wants you to believe that it is open-ended, though. I just think there's too many things in my head that the film says you can't do it. I would even believe, including Jack in there, it's Jack's way of trying to say the trauma's making him believe it is a werewolf, while at the same time, if Jack wasn't there, he would fully believe he wasn't. Yeah. I think there's things that Landis implements to try to say, look, it is open-ended. It's not cut and dry that he is a werewolf. But I think a lot of things do contradict that point. To me, it's like I can't really look at that perspective with how a lot of things follow through.
Yeah, I think if they just left that steel door part out of it, if they made the door out of something not as strong, or if they didn't have it at all, they just had a normal door, I think you could have made a stronger argument. And I mean, I still believe that it's to a
even
degree.
The zoo, though, like him being with the wolves isn't a problem. I think the wolves reacting very nonchalantly to him lends way too much credence about him being a werewolf.
Maybe, but I like you'll also see people being with wolves and the wolves not attacking them. Like you can make arguments for that, like that. The big thing that you brought up that I think is just inarguable is the door. It's just it's impossible that he busted through that door. And to me, I feel like that's more so just like I feel like Landis wanted to misdirect.
Even the arm, though, like when one of the fucking guys spots the arm ripped off, like that's the only person you see besides David that sees the carnage. Really, it doesn't even matter because the guy dies in the end. But no, he doesn't. He doesn't die in the end. That guy doesn't die.
The only thing that sucks, like I'd love to be able to make the argument that he could have done something to that. The problem is that the only weapon that they demonstrate that he has is a pocket knife, and he's not gonna fucking hand off with that.
Yeah.
So you can't. Again, that's tough.
That's the thing. I think he wants it to be more open ended than I can personally believe.
But he indulges in
too much
violence, too much stuff that it's just like it's impossible to make that argument.
Yeah.
I mean, like people do some crazy things when they're under certain mental conditions that you don't think are possible.
Yeah, you gave me a smelling salt. I had 325 on bench.
Yeah, I mean, you're but I mean, like that actually kind of makes my point. Like when you're fucking insane, like
I had 350.
You do some pretty insane things. I think that he just took it a little too far. I do think that though that he's trying to put it in a perspective where you could look at it either way.
He definitely is trying. There's just too much evidence in the film that contradicts to my point of view.
So yeah, some of it leans too far into the genre that he's trying to I don't know about lampoon, but he's trying to embellish on certain things that are it's too ridiculous to lean into that concept. I just think that's a really fascinating idea.
Oh, for sure. I
From a
love the
perspective.
idea.
Yeah.
It's just
I mean, it's
he
not the first
realizes
movie to
certain
do that
aspects
or
of
anything.
it, but sometimes it does feel like you're kind of making it tough to believe that. I
Yeah.
also think Landis to himself would probably even say like, it is open ended, but in his heart he'd be like, nah, dude, it's a fucking werewolf. Like
Yeah.
I love horror. Like
It seems like he really is trying to leave it in a perspective that if you want to look at it that way, you could. But the
yes,
problem is that when you do look at it that way, there's too many
there's a
questions.
lot of hurdles you got to jump.
Yeah, but I think that he definitely wanted it to be open ended, but I do think that from a perspective, he really does think that it is a werewolf. But if you want to look at it like he's
I
not,
would even say the biggest thing I picture is like a meta thing is the one person who's so quick to deny he's not a werewolf, he can't be a werewolf, that's stupid, is the inspector. And him having David break through the steel door
and
and bite his fucking head off, it's like that is Linda saying,
yeah,
it's a fucking werewolf, bro.
I totally forgot about the whole beheading part because it's
Yeah.
like he doesn't have a weapon capable of that. It's not like they
No.
demonstrate he has like an axe or a fucking machete
Yeah.
or something. Like that's another thing. It's just like the level of brutality is too ridiculous. Like if he just got his throat cut, that's
Yeah.
fine. I can explain that away. If he had some kind of a stronger weapon, I can get behind it. The problem is that he's literally fucking beheaded.
Yeah.
So it's a little tough. I agree with you that I do think that it winds up being that he is just a werewolf.
Yeah.
But it kind of says I kind of wish that there was more of a way you could suspend some of those things to make it
Yeah.
into
I
like
can get
it's a
that.
psychological issue. But at the same time, it's like it's very clear, especially now that we're talking about like he's a fucking werewolf.
Yeah,
He really is.
when you said that to me yesterday, it's like, yeah, you think maybe it's supposed to be open, and I was like,
Well, I texted you that I
I'll get
texted you
into
that
you about it. Like,
I texted you that while before we went into the finale.
yeah, okay,
So I was texting you that like I think I only had like 20 minutes left in the movie. So I think he was sitting in the porn theater at that point, talking to Jack. I'm like, oh, do you think this is supposed to be taken literally? Because like I feel like he's trying to play this balance. I totally forgot about the whole like he gets his fucking head ripped off and
yeah,
fucking the door breaking open and shit. Yeah, I just think that's a fascinating. I mean, it's obviously something he's trying to do for the first two acts of the movie. Yeah, the third act he definitely full tilt says no, he's not crazy. He's a fucking werewolf. It's
yeah,
just weird to me that like at the end. It's not a big deal or anything. I'm not gonna make it like just drag the score down for anything. I still gave it 5 stars, but like it's just weird. You'd think that Alex would have some kind of a reaction, be like, "Wow, he really wasn't kidding. He is a werewolf or whatever." But she doesn't. And maybe you can chalk that up to she just loves him too much and she doesn't care.
yeah,
And I think that's really what it is. Also, that's a perfect segue into something that like I think I messaged you about this. I probably didn't. But I did mention it when I logged in on Letterboxd. One of the best love stories in like modern horror because it's a very simple love story, but it's one that's very effective. Like she cares
yeah,
for him all through the time that he's in the hospital. They sow the seeds for them being in a relationship the whole time, and it kicks off throughout the finale. She wants to protect him in the finale before he even turns into a werewolf. She's trying to get him to the hospital to keep him locked up and keep him saved and all that stuff. And the finale, she runs in front of a bunch of rifles to try to talk him down. And the problem is that there's no David left in that scene. He's just a werewolf. He's just a monster at that point. And it kind of sucks. Like it's a very tragic ending.
yeah. I used to
And
hate that about the film too, because it's not open ended at all. There's no way you could see him being alive or getting any like
he's toast.
restitution. He's just dead. But as time goes on, it's just like I think that's why I love it more and more is that it is a finale and you can't really have an end to this world without him dying. And that's just the disappointing factor of the movie. Like it has to be that way.
Especially when you look at it, when you're looking at it as he is definitely a wolf. He's not a human being at that point, and he really is keeping these people from. Maybe he's not. Maybe all these people aren't even there. That might be a complete psychological aspect of the movie. The whole Jack not being there and all of his people may not be there. And he's, the whole point, like at that point in the movie, he is suicidal. He wants to die because he doesn't want to kill anybody anymore. And he doesn't want these people stuck on this plane of existence. And at the end, it is a tragic ending. Don't get me wrong. It's a tragic ending more so for Alex. But he got what he wanted. He's no longer a threat to people. and everyone else can rest easy.
I would agree if maybe you heard the names of the people in the taxi, but he doesn't.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because he does give them names. That's right. Yep, you're right. Definitely right. But
But
at
here's
the
one
same
thing I'll
time,
say
though,
about that
it's
though.
a
Like,
bittersweet ending because those
oh,
people are now
100%.
released from the earth. It sucks that he has to
Jack is
die.
released too, especially, which you
Yeah,
you start to grow more and more fond of him and how he does care for his friend.
yeah. It's like he dies. Yeah, like David dies, which is sad because he's a great character, and you feel bad for him because it's like he didn't ask for this.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like at that point, like he knows he's not a threat anymore, or I don't know if he knows
I
he's not a
think
threat
that's
anymore, but
what's
he's not a
great
threat
about
anymore.
a lot of the classic horror ideas, though, is that these characters aren't characters that just do bad stuff because it's fun. Like, I love the idea of vampires because it can create a culture of so much like symbolism or like undertones that people don't want to talk about a lot of times, especially in the time periods like homophobia, transphobia, things like that. It's like that's why the vampire category is always great for things like that because
Yeah,
it hits on so many different tropes. But the characters themselves can almost become stereotypes, but still fun and charismatic, which is nice. But why do you think people love the first Wolfman and the Invisible Man? It's because these are characters that commit crimes and horrible, horrible things, but that the original person would never want to do that. Because
it's a
even in
tragedy.
like Lon Chaney Jr., he says so much like I don't want to. I want it to be over with. I want it to end. He tries his best. And in the Invisible Man, you don't see the man before, but they talk a lot about how he's a great person. He means a lot. He's just a scientist and he wants to do good work. But ever since he took the serum, he's gone insane. This is not his mental state on the usual. The serum changed the man. So
Yeah,
when he does die, you almost feel you wish it could have worked out, but it has to end this way.
yeah.
Those
There's no other way it works out, or else people are gonna
even
die.
Frankenstein, especially, like he kills the little girl and she drowns, but he didn't mean to do that. All the bad things he does is because he doesn't understand the weight of the actions. He
Yeah,
doesn't
he doesn't know
try
what
to
he's
commit
doing.
these atrocities. And that's why it's so bittersweet when you have monsters like that that do end up being just so sympathetic in a lot of ways. And that's why those tropes are so good. That's why it's good when you have fans like John Landis who understands those tropes and he's like, well, this is why it works. You can tell these tales in a modern setting, so I'm gonna try to do it. Nowadays you have people trying to look at like what's the next thing you can do in a horror film? What's the new real reality? Because that's what we're looking at is what's nowadays gonna terrify viewers, which makes sense. But a lot of these tales are simple and they still work where it comes down to you have somebody doing something that they don't want to do, or somebody that they just don't understand what they're doing. And these decisions have terrible, terrible consequences and they have to pay for it.
And
And that's how you really draw sympathy.
that's kind of the thing. Like one of my favorite things to say about horror is people underestimate because when people think of horror movies, they think of slasher movies. A lot of people think of slasher movies, and I
Yes.
know that. A lot
Yes.
of people think about slasher movies. A lot of people think about like these like cheap little dumb horror movies from like the early 2000s, like fucking
Slashers
Stay
are, in
Alive
my
or
perspective,
something.
the gateway drug of horror.
I love slashers to death. I love them.
Yes.
They are definitely some of the horror movies that have some of the worst offenses as far as like just not giving a shit. Um,
Also, just being like, you want to talk
Bad.
about things being dated, they're the easiest to notify. Like,
Oh yeah, of course.
you know,
But my thing with horror, it's also one of my things with action movies, and I think you and I've talked about this before. Is people underestimate the importance of characters in
yes.
horror movies because like yeah sure people can set up with direction and music and sound design scares, you can do that, but if you really want to make things scary and you want people to be invested in the horror of the movie, you need to have characters that people at least like. But the thing about this movie that takes it a step further is they do characterize these people well. They don't spend, not everybody gets a huge character arc or anything, but David is a well characterized person from the very beginning of the movie because he is a likable person. He's just having fun backpacking through Europe with his friend. He's likable, he's charismatic, like you said. After his friend dies, they really do, like, yeah, it's subtle. They don't do huge, grandstanding dramatic sequences, but him seeing his dead friend, like that's a traumatic experience. And his falling in love with Alex and their relationship again grounds him with things to lose and like the calls back to his family. No, definitely they reinforce that he has loved ones. Like they do take time to set up David as a character that you can root for and try to get behind. That's why that ending is so tragic, is because he is a genuinely good person that just something terrible happened to. And the same thing with Alex. Like you set up that Alex really loves this guy and cares about him, and she watches him die right in front of her, which is an incredibly traumatic experience for her too. So you know that after this movie, after credits roll in this movie, she's fucked up now too.
The movie is genius for one simple thing, and it keeps the cast small.
Yeah,
You don't have a lot of characters, so whenever a character's on screen, they utilize their screen time and they become important.
it matters.
Even joke characters like, I mean, they don't utilize every character. Like there's the inspector's sergeant who literally is just fucking Laurel and Hardy, or
Like he can't even tie his tie right.
yeah, and it's like that's fine. I love that stuff because it's funny. I like good humor. Great. But the doctor is prominent through the entire film.
Yes.
Alex is prominent. David is prominent. Jack is prominent. The people at the slaughtered lamb are prominent. Like these are the only real cast members in the film. Everyone else pretty much is just like an extra. Even some of the people that are at the hospital, they have like a few scenes, but they're not really characters. They're just there. But
Yeah.
the cast that do have like a lot of scenes together or whatever, they get to interact, they utilize, they make them feel important, and it matters. You mentioned character, which is super important. Like one of my biggest gripes I have is when people talk about the Friday franchise, it's like, oh, there's a bunch of stupid fucking teenagers that die, and you kind of wish it happens. It's like, I don't know what Friday you're watching. Maybe just the first one, but
maybe just 9.
like a lot of the time, I don't want them to die. Like you kind of like some of them because you have to realize they're teenagers or college students and they're trying to have fun. There is no point you wouldn't be trying to have fun if you're that age and you're a camp counselor. And they're decently good people. Having sex doesn't make you the Antichrist. Like,
Yeah.
you shouldn't want them to die. So when some of them do die, you're like, that kind of sucks. Like, I kind of feel bad for them.
Yeah.
And that's why you grow to like some of these characters. And that's why when a horror film does do the things where you don't like the characters and they do die, you do say, yeah, whatever, fuck them, they're dead. Kind of cool though, right? You know, it's all good. And you remember that because it's a stupid trope that you see happen over and over again that people don't understand. If you don't care about the characters and they die, you don't care. And you associate that with shitty horror. And the more and more it happens, the more and more shitty horror you get. And the more shitty horror there is, the more people say, as just a general consensus, oh, horror films are shit because you get the same dog shit over and over again. Is it any different from having dramatic movies where the actors can't nail a dramatic scene? No.
Or they're written incompetently.
Yes.
Or in an action film.
I was going to say, is it any different from an action film where there isn't a character, they're just a badass and that you don't care about the decisions they're making? It's just there to look cool. Fuck no. It's the same exact thing. But with horror, the shitty tropes and the things that people look down upon are just so embedded into people saying that's just the genre. Why is that just the genre? It's not just the genre. Now, when people have good horror films come out, like with Jordan Peele and the next wave of films, people look at it like, oh, it's a next step of horror. It's a next level. No, it's fucking not. It's just horror. It's just not dog shit. You've been ruined by the late 90s and early 2000s where everything was dog shit for a while.
Don't get me started on the topic of fucking elevated horror, because that is the dumbest fucking phrase I've ever heard in my entire life. Horror is the only genre in existence where a good quality movie is referred to as elevated. You don't hear elevated dramas, you don't hear elevated action films or elevated sci-fi movies. They're just, hey, look, it's a good sci-fi movie or it's a good action movie. It's because people don't want to admit that they like horror. Like it's stupid. It's like, oh, you like horror? Oh, you must really like fucking Madman or something, like something really stupid.
Dude, if somebody said that to me, I'd fucking knock them out. Like if someone said you like horror, you must like Madman, I'd like, oh, that's cool. You got a fucked up face. You must like hitting the pavement. Like,
oh my
no
God.
one. I would never fucking like that at all.
I hate that term elevated horror because it really just dismisses the genre to me. And it's a genre that made cinema. Like, yeah, it's one of the oldest genres. Like,
it's to me one of the first deciphers the sound period of cinema versus pre-sound.
Yeah, but even in silent though.
Like, yeah, but I'm saying silent horror to like the sound era, like those films that go from before and after sonify what cinema has become. And
Yeah.
a lot of them staple it. It's silent horror. You can still, there are not many films you can go back and watch that are silent films and still have a good time, except silent horror. I don't fucking care what you say.
Silent horror and silent comedy.
Yeah. Oh, silent comedy. I wish more comedies were silent because some people say some stupid shit in comedies.
True. But just like looking at like one of the first movies ever made is Edison's Frankenstein. Like,
yeah,
this is not new, and it's cinema's oldest genre, and that just gets dumped on now, and that's stupid. And creating a term like elevated horror, whether it's well intentioned or not, is just making the genre look worse. It is insulting the genre.
we'll just say for horror films during the 30s, we'll just call that elevated cinema because that's what was fucking selling. Because apparently it's the only thing that's good at that time period. So it's elevated cinema.
Yeah, I hate that term. I hate that A24 and Jordan Peele have, like, I love A24 movies. I love Jordan Peele. I hate the fact that their movies has created this little tiny stupid fucking term that is just like it's just critics that don't want to admit that they like the horror movie, so they have to make a reason to like it. I hate that shit. It's really annoying and it's insulting to the genre and its fans. It's stupid. That shit. I have a huge pet peeve about that. When I saw articles coming out about it, it's be like, yeah, why elevated horror is so popular right now. It's like, fuck off. A good horror movie is a good fucking horror movie. It's a good movie. Just fuck off.
Yeah. People don't understand that horror takes the elements of a lot of different genres that are prominent and utilize all of it. Like now, like I remember even like in the 90s and 2000s, people would try to equate a lot of horror films that they thought were really good as being thrillers, even though structurally they're not like thrillers.
Yeah.
Ever since Silence of the Lambs really defined what thrillers could be, people were like, oh, well, maybe all good horror films are thrillers. No, they're not. They're not it's not how it follows the characters.
No.
Silence of the Lambs doesn't follow the killer. It follows an investigation team trying to figure out what the killer's doing.
Same thing with Seven.
Like, these are thrillers because of how they're structured in the movie. It's not because it's a good fucking movie. It's a thriller. It's like, well, there's suspense in it. Holy fuck, there's suspense in a movie? You put suspense in a movie?
Yeah,
Holy
I mean, like,
shit, dude.
I've heard plenty of valid arguments for why those especially those two movies can be classified as horror movies. I personally don't view them as horror movies. That doesn't make them lesser movies. Like, they're great movies. They're incredible movies, actually.
And I would never say, I'm not saying that they are horror films, but no. I think those films came out, put more of a stigma on, well,
especially Silence of the Lambs.
These are so good, and I don't consider it a horror since the whole thriller genre. Maybe a lot of movies that are so good are actually just thrillers.
I've seen a lot of people. Seen a lot of people argue that Halloween's a thriller, and that Psycho's a thriller. Psycho, I can see a bit more than Halloween, but even then, though, I still think that you're out of your mind if you call that a thriller.
I think you'd stretch it with Psycho. I can understand where you're coming from, but Psycho is just, I think a lot of the structure just come down to how a horror film would be structured, except
it's the granddaddy of slasher
films. Except for maybe the very end. That's the only difference, I would say.
Yeah.
But it's like you don't have monologues about what happens in a story at some horror films anyways, so it doesn't really break it either.
Yeah, that's just the era.
The whole character thing really always has bugged me because it's like, if you're in any sort of fandom, first of all, grow up. But if you're in sort of like any type of fandom, or you're in any sort of like medium that you really love, movies, TVs, comic, art in general, just any sort of thing that latches on to you, any sense of pop culture. When you're talking about characters, you don't just love them for their designs. Designs only go so far. Yep. Designs will get you to a certain perspective because you're like, oh, I like the way he looks. And you could want to like them more because it looks so good. But unless you really can feel like you can sink your teeth into that character because of how they feel, how they relate, and just in general, I get them, or this is me in some sort of way, you really won't latch onto them that much. That happens for every sort of medium. You have to feel like, I love this character for who they are, not how they look or anything else or how badass they are. That can only get you so far.
If you go based off of like character design, especially, that's not a character. Like, A design is a
idea.
design. It's an idea. Exactly. So you need, like with any genre, literally any genre, you need to have characters or else you don't care. Why are you watching the movie? Like it doesn't matter. Like again, like the two genres for me that it matters most for is horror and action because they live on the way that you connect to what's going on screen, and that's what generates either the suspense, the thrills, or the horror. I mean, it's literally any, especially like dramas. Like you obviously, why would you care about what's going on screen if you don't care about the characters? But like for just movies in general, I should just say, why like characters are incredibly important, and a lot of people just don't view when there's a semi-interesting character in a horror movie, people treat it like it's a fucking revelation. It's like there's plenty of horror movies with great characters in it, going all the way back to the 30s, going back to even silent era. Like you can find great cool character, like good characters that you care about. It's just that like for some reason within the genre people just forget about that.
And that's why I think I love this film so much, is because it showcases all the things that I want out of horror films. It has great designs with fantastic makeup, effects, good subtlety, good humor, but most importantly, I really feel latched onto the characters and I want everyone to get out of there happy. I want everyone to get out of there okay. And the fact it doesn't is what breaks my heart. And that's why I think this is a fantastic film. And I would really recommend everybody watch it, not just because of how it makes me feel emotionally, but because you know that when you're getting into there, you're going to have some fun times, you're going to have some hard times. But at the end of the film, you're going to feel like you had a memorable time. And I want everyone to have that opportunity.
I agree. It's a movie that, I mean, it is a classic in the truest sense, especially of the era. It exemplifies a lot of the best parts about the 80s, from just like the 80s were a special effects era of horror. And Rick Baker is one of the kings of special effects. The transformation scene is possibly the greatest in any werewolf movie that I've seen, at least. It is perfect. Like you said, like the characters, the music, both score and soundtrack, the direction is on point. It's everything about this movie fires on all cylinders. And yeah, there's a couple nitpicks you can make about it. You can nitpick any movie, but at the end of the day, this movie's just a blast from start to finish. And it has it's surprising, like rewatching this movie. Like I just was sitting there consistently saying, wow, like I knew I loved this movie. This is one of my favorite horror movies. And I have to thank you for that, because I probably would not have watched it for a long time without you sitting me down and making me watch it.
It was my pleasure, though.
Yeah, I mean, it was a blast.
I wish I could get more people to watch this film, especially because I always think it's a standout surprise hit.
Yeah, it's one of those movies. It's like, oh, cool, it's a werewolf movie. And it's just like, no, there's a lot to it, and there's a lot of really interesting filmmaking techniques that they used, and it's such a great. It's a gateway to horror. I mean, like you can watch this movie easily. Like this is not a tough, like if people don't watch horror movies, this is an easy movie to watch.
Yeah,
it's got everything you want. It's not.
I think
scary,
it's
but
it's way easier than our first pick. I think Evil Dead is a bit tougher
movie to watch. It's definitely a tougher movie to get into.
Because even this movie, like Evil Dead, I don't think is much of a unisex film. I think it is more of a male perspective type film. I think it lends itself more to a male audience, but I think American Werewolf is more
balanced.
It's more balanced because you do also feel bad for both the main characters.
It's also a movie that definitely it benefits. It's easier to get into just because it is a bit more professionally made movie. Mm-hmm. No slight to Evil Dead, obviously, because I love that movie to death, but it is definitely a higher profile film. It's made by Universal, which is why they get to talk about Universal horror movies as much as they want.
Yeah,
but like it has more money behind it. Clearly, the makeup effects are much better than something like Evil Dead. But like again, like these are two very different kinds of films.
Very.
They only came out a year apart. It's amazing.
No, they didn't. They came out the same year.
I keep thinking 1980 because the movie was made in like 79. But yeah, like they came out same year. That's even more amazing. But like the disparagement between budgets, like it's still amazing what Evil Dead accomplished on its budget.
I love them both in very different ways.
They attack the genre differently.
I think as a general audience, this is an easier film to get into. And I think that's one of the huge benefits of saying, check this one out. I know a lot of people that aren't big on horror, but I think if they watch this, it could be like, yeah, you know what? Maybe I'll take a few other chances.
Yeah, I mean, because it really does. It introduces you to what the genre really can be. Great character work, perfect, just amazing filmmaking.
Fantastic designs, fantastic implementation of the designs.
It mixes horror and comedy and drama perfectly. to a degree, especially drama's not front and center, but there's a lot of there's a good couple scenes that are just really really
They stand
impactful.
out. Like you mentioned,
Yeah.
the one about the phone booth. That's one of my favorite scenes because of it is subtle. It does feel real. And like I know if I was going to talk to my brother and say I love him, I'm not going to be like giving a heartfelt speech about like, I'll never forget this day again. I'd be like, hey man, just want to let you know,
I
fucking
love
love you,
you.
dude. He'd be
Don't
like,
fight with your brother.
yeah, and he'll be like, shut up. And I'd be like, all right, great. But like that's how it would be. Like that's how it's very real with the conversation. It doesn't feel like a forced, this is my final speech. Goodbye.
Yeah. And like I don't like using the whole like it's not just a great horror movie, it's a great film kind of thing. But when you're introducing someone to the genre, that really is an important thing to say, just based
Yeah.
off like even if you don't personally believe like a separating distinction between genre and movie, because it really doesn't
Yeah.
matter. A good movie is a good movie.
Yeah.
But like when you're pitching this to someone who's never seen horror before, you just say this isn't just like a really scary, like good horror movie. Like this is a really great movie and it's something that you really should experience. Like there's a bunch of those that you can point to in the genre, but like this is one that's just so easy to watch for a first timer, I'm sure. Like when I watched this, I was already a horror fan. It's not like it was my gateway or anything, but it's something I can easily see showing to people and them just having a really good time with it.
All right, Hot Shot. Final thoughts.
Final thoughts. This is one of the greatest horror movies ever made, my opinion. It has everything. It has great effects, great characters, great music, awesome performances. It's terrifying. It's funny. It's everything that a great film should be. It's a masterpiece in my opinion, even with the nitpicks that we have.
Give me a score on the Dimometer.
The Dimometer. Oh my
Okay.
god, I gotta give it like a platinum Dimmadome.
A platinum Dimmadome.
Yeah, that's like the highest order on the Dimma scale.
I don't have that much Dimma dollars on me. I give it 5 Dimmerschmeckles. Nah, I love this movie. It's one of my favorite films to watch during Halloween time. I think we always talk about when Halloween comes around, we have like 3 or 4 films we want to watch at least in October. This is one of my 3 I always watch consistently. Whenever me and Ashley are going down to Salem, we always try to make sure to put this one on the way there at the hotel or something, because I always want to feel like this keeps my connection to this time of the year and always makes you remember why I love it so much. And I don't have much more I can really say besides I love the movie. Check it out. 5 stars, but
it's kind of amazing.
We
talk about this every year. We talk about this movie every year.
Yeah, because it's like I have so much to say because I've said it all before. I'll say it all again, but I have so much to gush about because it makes me have just this big heart pounding reaction about, man, the way this looks is so visceral. The way I feel when she gives her final monologue is just so heartbreaking. The way it's shot, there's not many films that make London look this good during nighttime. Like everything about this film just strikes you. And
the shots of northern England,
100%.
They're so fucking eerie. Like it's perfect. It really does feel like a Universal Monsters movie at times.
Yeah, it
really
makes
does.
you want to. It makes you want to go to an area that is a barren wasteland that they're filming on. Pretty much, there's nothing really there, and you're like, I still check it out. Like, not many films can do that.
Yeah, I agree.
I love it. That's it. Like, I love the movie. I don't have anything else to say besides, please check it out. Please make your own opinion. Let me know if you thought it was just as good as we said. You had more problems that we didn't notice, because I'd love to see more things that people gripe about this film, because with films I love, it's really easy to find people say, oh, this shit is sick. It's so cool. But it's even cool to be like, well, I didn't like this, or this is kind of an issue. And it's like, I never thought about that. I wonder why I didn't pick up on that. Cool.
I'd love to see like like one of the most fun things that we talked about in this podcast was the whole is it in his head thing, and I really would like to hear other people's perspectives on that, because that was something like I never even thought about when we first watched it. I didn't even think about that. I was like, oh, he's a werewolf the whole time. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Yeah. He's a werewolf. But this time, like, I really picked up on the little like the breadcrumbs he was trying to lay to misdirect. I would love to see what other people's opinions are on it. Not even like I'll agree with you if you think that it really is in his head or anything. I just want to know what people think. Yeah, I just want to know what people think. It's just an interesting idea.
So check out the film. Tell us what you think. Watch another episode. Keep staying tuned. And thank you so much for watching. And we'll be back next week.
Stay spooky, y'all.